Hello, Dean. Can you update us on Kagiso Rabada's fitness, and are you in a position to name your team yet?
Currently, we're still waiting to name the final, I would say, 12. KG's really done well the last few days. I think he's very close to being fully fit for this test. Again, that's subject on announcement of the final, say 11 or 12 players. But he's had a really good few days, so it's looking pretty good for us.
Thank you.
Who would like to go next?
Just to follow up on that, how much does he need to do today, though, obviously with the rain and everything else, to prove his fitness?
That's a good question. That I guess he'll most probably have a bowl in the indoor if needs be. I'm not the fitness trainer, the physio, or the doctor. If I was, he was in very, very bad hands. Yeah, so if he has to do something today, they'll obviously push him to do something today. But if they feel he's done his bit and he doesn't have to do extra work, then I'm sure you'll most probably see his name on the final 11. So yeah, it's unfortunate about the weather, but it is what it is. And yeah, as I said, if they feel he has to do work, then I'm sure he'll go do it in the indoors.
And if I may use the B word, baseball, Ben Stokes said he was surprised you guys are talking about it so much.
With all due respect, I'm really not going to entertain that anymore. We've chatted about it long and hard. Yeah, I just want to crack on with the cricket. I think the game deserves that respect. Mudslinging is now a thing of the past for me, and yeah, we're not going to go back and forth anymore around that.
Good, thank you. Proteas?
Dean, can we just talk a little bit about the batting line? Oh, sorry, you heard what I said. And who are you considering in the middle order? I mean, given that Temba's not around, what's the discussion around that?
I think purely because we've lost that experience factor in the middle order, I'm more inclined on going on with the experience that we have within our batters that we have. Yeah, we've had the option of obviously Markram, Van der Dis, and Rickleton and Zondo. So yeah, and then that's obviously up to the coach and our selectors to finalise our top 5. But yeah, for me, in coming from my side, it's more on the experience factor.
Dean, let me ask you a question about South Africa. You're on a good run of form, about a good year already. Is it your ambition for South Africa to be the best test team in the world?
No doubt. I didn't take this job thinking that we were just going to be mid-table and not playing our best cricket. That's always been my goal. It's been my ambition. I've experienced us being world number 1 twice, and I know that feeling. It's so great. But I know it's such a journey and hard work to get there. I want the young guys to experience that. Still, I still want to experience that before I, turn the chapter. But yeah, for me, that's definitely a massive goal for me. I would say that's the biggest one for me, being the captain. And yeah, I wouldn't be doing this job if I didn't think we were very capable of doing that.
We're actually, I believe, in the same room where after you captained at Lords and came back and you handed him back the captain's armband. So I'm just sort of looking back from that to now, and I guess the feeling at the time that was self-backs team very much. Just how you feel about the captaincy. I don't think you've lost a test since you took over the captaincy, lost a test series since you took over the captaincy permanently. How do you feel you've grown into that role, and is it your team now?
I think it is a little bit more my side now. When you take over for one game, your limitations are cut off a little bit. It's almost like you don't really have much control over your squad. Where I think now, being full time, you kind of have that sense of control and confidence around that, which I think I've created over the last year to 15 months. So yeah, such a lot more confident as a leader, as a player. I think it's rubbed off on my game as well. Hopefully I can continue with that in the series. Yeah, I just think from a confidence point of view, and I think from a trust point of view with the players in the squad, the guys obviously take your word a lot more seriously, I would say. Yeah, so far so good, and hopefully it can continue.
Thanks, Dean.
Without referring to the term, the style of cricket that England played against India, New Zealand and India, was quite difficult for them to stop. And we spoke to Mark Boucher yesterday, and he said it's just about trying to shift momentum. When we asked him how you might do that, he said he didn't know. I just wondered if you had any ideas of how you might do that.
I think one of our biggest strengths as a test side over the last period has been our awareness to adapt. I think when you're under the pump in Test cricket, you need to have that quality and that skill. And I think we've fast-tracked that at quite a good rate, just purely out of the guys having a good attitude around that. And I think that's going to be a massive factor for us in this series, especially if England do have a flyer, which I know somewhere they're going to have periods in the game where they're going to be on top of us, no doubt. And we're going to have to find a way to adapt into that situation. I think there's been a lot of learning since watching those series unfold. And the way that they did, I do think we are smartest side, and adaptability is extremely big for me. We've come a long way with regards to that as well as a group, and the conversations around that is everyone's got a good buy-in around that as well now with regards to adapting and parking their personal stuff aside and doing what we require to obviously slow down their batting, for instance. I'd like to think from a bowling point of view, our bowlers are they're big, tall, fast and strong buggers, and we've got we've ticked the boxes with regards to the spin bowling department as well. So I think we come in with a lot more resources as well. I'm not going to diss the opposition that played against England then, but I'm just purely speaking from the South African point of view. I think we've covered all bases. We've ticked all the boxes in the right kind of angles for us to try and curb those kind of moments in the game.
And having played that Lions game, Mark said, it was a warm-up game. You wanted to get what you wanted to get out of it.
Yeah.
Having had that experience, do you think there's experience that you will have learned from having played against a team like that and what you're likely to face this week?
I read absolutely nothing into that warm-up game. Purely out of what we wanted to achieve out of as a side. A lot of us hadn't played red ball cricket in a while, so it was important for us to get time on our legs. We didn't know how much, but I mean it was a good exercise for us. Bowlers had to get overs under their belt, especially the younger guys that have had quite an extensive off-season back home. We had to rest some of our key fast bowlers as well. Let's bear that in mind as well. It was a good exercise, and look, if they come out playing like that in an official test match and it goes pear-shaped, it's not going to look very good for England. But it was a good indicator. But I mean, I think those guys playing for the Lions team had a lot to prove. They had all the big dogs sitting upstairs watching them, and they're like, it's now time to show the coaches and the director what they can do. For instance, in an unofficial four-day game. I would have liked to have seen what it was like if it was an official four-day game. I think you play a little bit different if you play for stats. You play a little bit differently as a player.
Dean, I'm sure you would have checked the weather. You would have known what the weather was going to do today. You had a good idea. But how does that complicate your preparations? Do you still have, is it going to get in the way of what you have left to do with the team before tomorrow?
I don't think another day of prep is going to make us any better. I think we're in a great space at the moment now. We've been in a good space since we've got together as the test side. The Proteas brand in general is in a pretty good space over the last few months. It's unfortunate that it's raining today. It's always nice to have a run around Lords just from a fielding point of view and just taking that the viewing and the atmosphere. Even though there's no people in the ground, it's still a pretty unique and special place. But I don't think another practice session would have made us any better. I just think the weather around now the next few days obviously might just change our thought patterns with regards to team selection.
I'm going to go final round of questions. So 1, 2, 3.
Hi, Dean. Your most recent test series against Bangladesh, there's a group of players that missed it because of a scheduling clash with the IPL. And from the outside, it looked like you weren't particularly happy about it at the time. I'm just wondering, with those guys back, what have you had to do to kind of get them back into the team? Have you had to kind of clear the air talks, or how's their re-inspiration been on that in that respect?
Prior to that, we were aware of the situation those players were put in, and it was a very unfortunate situation that they had to go through. And I don't blame them for the decision they made. There's no air being cleared. Them being back, we know they want to be here. I'm pretty sure if you go back then, they would love to have been playing Test cricket for South Africa still, but they were kind of put in a corner and they had to make a decision. And as a group, they made a decision. it wasn't an individual decision, it was a group decision at that point in time, which I'm totally happy about because I sat in more meetings than anyone in that kind of situation. So yeah, very happy to have them back. Sure, I didn't have my potential maybe best playing 11 at that time, but we gave a lot of young guys exposure to Test cricket. And it was also one exercises we wanted to try and do in last season, knowing that there might be a clash. It was to give the young guys opportunity and expose them to this level. But yeah, it's good to have them back, and yeah, they're more than welcome in the change room.
Are you optimistic that it won't happen again?
Hey?
Are you optimistic that it won't happen again if you sort of back to your seniors?
I hope if there is some sort of clash of events that there are sort of things put in place between the two bodies of cricket. I would like to think that there would be something a little bit more concrete around that, just purely to give the players a little bit more safety.
My name is
Oh, there we go.
You'll know how well Simon Harmer has bowled in England over the past few years, and notwithstanding what's happening today, it has been very dry over the past few weeks. Maybe not this week, but how keen would you be to play two spinners, particularly with how well Simon and Maharaj did over the winter, maybe down the line at Old Trafford or the Oval? Yeah, having Harmy back in our Proteas mix is great for us. You can sense that he's already come in and strengthened our bowling group already. An experienced campaigner. He's taken hundreds of wickets here in the UK over the last few seasons, so it was a no-brainer for me to have Harmy back. Obviously, the weather, as mentioned in one of the previous questions, the weather's playing a bit of a whether to or whether not to kind of scenario. But yeah, it has been quite dry here. I think the surface won't change too much because I think what's underneath the grass is still pretty dry. But yet again, I can only just see it. I'm not a full-time groundsman. So yeah, but having Harmy around has given us that extra luxury of having that option, and we haven't had that option in the past, having a left-arm spinner and a right-arm off-spinner as well, which I think is a massive asset for us to utilise if needs be.
Thank you. We'll take one last question as we conclude the press conference.
Relay.
I think England have chased in their 4 wins this summer. How much would it change the dynamic for them, do you think, if they're the one setting the score? And is that the obvious thing for you to do tomorrow, especially with this weather?
Not necessarily. Yeah, I think what they did, the conditions were pretty nicely batting in those specific tests. Also, yeah, again they did really unique things around that, and those months ago with chasing the scores that they did is something that I was like also blown away with. That's pretty impressive. But yeah, I'd like to think the bowlers that we have can still, even if we have wickets that are pretty flat, I'd like to think that yeah, we've covered our bases with regards to our bowling unit, and I'd like to think we can bowl them out even if they're chasing as well. Pretty confident because we've done it in the past, and yeah, it might be hard work for us, but that's what we had to do. We're not here to play soft nature cricket. We want it hard, we want it really tough, and yeah, hopefully the results go our way.